All right, welcome to another episode of the Make Queens podcast. I am Mary Graves.
And I am Heather.
And it is, well, okay, when this episode comes out, it will be the very first day of 2021. And that is if I edit everything on time, knock on wood, I will be better this week than the last couple of weeks. But we should be in a whole new year, and hopefully amazing things are on the horizon. We know that there are movies that were supposed to come out in 2020 that have been pushed to 2021, like Halloween Kills. I'm so excited to finally get to watch that. And I think A Quiet Place 2 is coming out next year as well. So hopefully all those things go according to plan. But I thought instead of, mourning everything we didn't get to watch in 2020, that we would talk about what we did get to watch and, just kind of evaluate how things were in the horror community. So how was your Christmas?
It was awesome. I can't complain. The kids were really excited. They got everything they wanted. So except for my son didn't get his shovel or cape, my youngest son. So we got to take care of that soon. But he got a new guitar and stuff like that. And everybody was happy. So I can't complain. But how was yours?
Not too bad. It's still kind of going on. I have 3 older brothers, and one of them I FaceTimed with on Christmas Day, and the other one just came over yesterday with his 3 kids. One he just turned 13, so he was just sitting on the couch playing with his phone the entire time. And then 2 little girls, one who just turned 10, and one who's, I want to say like 7. She's a few years younger, and we ended up playing hide and seek in my house for like 2 hours straight. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm exhausted and sore. Tonight is a bubble bath night, so I'll be much happier after that. But and then I have my third brother is coming over on this coming Sunday, so that'll be the end of Christmas then. But it keeps going on and on.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and because I ordered things last minute on Amazon for my brother's kids who came yesterday, the last package didn't arrive till after they had already left. So I still have to go visit them at their house and give the last of the presents to the kids. So it never ends, but that's okay.
Yeah. We're still waiting on a Blue Yeti mic that was supposed to be here Christmas Eve. And I think it's out for delivery today. So that's like the last on our list. So fingers crossed.
All right, wait, hold on, because I got this years ago, my Blue Yeti mic, little video extra for you people if you're watching on YouTube. Is this the kind you're getting? Ignore this, that was extra.
It's like that. It might be a different color. But what is that? I've been wondering what the little, is that like a sound minimizer or?
Well, this is actually the mic itself. Like you could actually, I've seen somebody who has a fuzzy thing over like a windscreen over this part, because this is the mic itself. And then this, I have it connected to a mic stand so that, I don't have a proper table to put it on. So it stays on here and it's easier to maneuver for me. But you've got your different like types of mic stuff on the back. This is totally behind baseball for people, or inside baseball. And you have your gain, you could make yourself extra loud. And then the direction the mic would go. So I love this mic. I know people make fun of these for some reason, but they're not exactly cheap. They're like $100 something. So
what's the big round circular thing attached to it?
Oh, that is a pop filter for when I pop my P's and my B's and stuff. I bought that extra at Guitar Center and I got like a $15 one. So there are some that are more expensive, but that's another reason why I attached it to the mic stand, because a pop filter is really hard to attach to your Yeti mic because of the stand that it's on naturally. So I attached it to my mic stand, and then I can attach the pop filter directly to the stand. So for anyone out there who's listening that wants to start a podcast, these are little, tricks and trades you could try to use.
Hell yeah, I can't wait for mine to come in.
It'll be fun. And then maybe one day we'll be doing the podcast and we'll be like those people who have the desks in front of them and have their mics in front of them, going back and forth like it's a newscast or something.
That's what I'm hoping. I want a gaming chair too for podcasting and gaming. So
with all the lights on it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. Well, so let's get talking about what we saw this year. Like, okay, yeah, let's start with what we actually did see. Because I did a little bit of research online and I was looking through all the horror movies that came out this year. And turns out there's like thousands in America alone. I was searching on IMDb. Now, granted, I don't know how accurate IMDb is because sometimes they say something came out in 2020 and it got pushed to 2021 and they didn't update the website. Like A Quiet Place 2 said that it was released in 2020, but then you click on it and it actually says 2021. So I'm not 100% sure how accurate their search results are. It's probably just another issue with, 2020 just ruining everything. But there are a few that I know came out this year and some I saw this year that may have came out last year. And I just want to go through our lists and let's see, which ones we both saw. The first one on my list that I did see is the only movie I actually got to see in theaters this year, and that is The Invisible Man. Did you get to see The Invisible Man?
I got to see it at home, but not in the theater. I liked it. What did you think?
I really loved it. I thought it was going to be my favorite movie this year, but a couple came out after that just blew me away. To me, The Invisible Man is very much like the monster movie version of Sleeping with the Enemy with Julia Roberts. Have you seen that movie?
Yes. I haven't seen it in a long time. I've seen it and I own it.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
We actually had it on VHS back in the day. Like my mom taped it off a cable, but we got rid of those tapes, or she got rid of those tapes. So we no longer have that movie. But that was one of my favorite, it's probably my favorite Julia Roberts movie, just because it's so intense and it's so scary, especially from the domestic violence standpoint, that I think it qualifies as a horror, and I'm not sure that a lot of people in the horror community would consider it a horror. The only reason The Invisible Man would be considered a horror is because you have the Invisible Man element in it. If it were just about a guy faking his death and, spoiler alert, by the way, spoiler alerts on all of our podcasts moving forward. But if it were just about a guy faking his death and then, haunting a girl, not being an invisible man, I don't know if people would consider this a horror movie. Although there is at least one gory death in it at the restaurant scene. Not to spoil everything for everyone, but that was definitely a great horror moment. And I think that was the moment that really hooked me into this movie. Because it wasn't just, is she paranoid? This was like, oh, this is some psychotic shit going down right now. Also, if you watch the movie Enough with Jennifer Lopez, it's very much in the same like ex-husband stalking the wife category, and just a lot of like your heart is just racing kind of stuff. So I love that movie.
I loved
What's
it
the movie
too. I just want to say real quick, I loved Elizabeth Moss's performance. Like I've been watching her since Mad Men, and I've just really grown to love her. And it kind of pissed me off that so many people critiqued her. A lot of it was on her looks. Like they were like, "Why was he talking to her? She's not anything to be stalking." I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's beautiful. And like, I just thought it was rude. But anyway, that's what I had to say.
No, I 100% agree. I heard a lot about that too. And she's got such a natural human face. And I don't hate the Kardashians or anything, but I feel like all the plastic surgery that they normalized, which is fine. If you can change something and you want to change something, you should change it. But you could also learn to love yourself too without changing it. And I feel like society pressures us into changing things. So that's my political soapbox right there. But then you have somebody like Kate Moss? No, what's her name?
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss. Thank you. Kate Moss is the model. Elizabeth Moss, who is beautiful naturally, is incredibly talented. Like she actually can act. She can make you feel things. I watched The Handmaid's Tale, only the first season because it's really hard to watch. But she is just incredible at conveying emotions, and I wish people would be able to appreciate her for that and not focus on all the things that actually don't matter to her acting.
Exactly.
So what is a movie on your list that you got to see?
I saw Spree, and that was one of the podcasts that I got to do with Guts. We spoke to, I believe the director I believe it was the director And so that was fun. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of it. I didn't watch it, and I was confused with some of the advertising because I know it's supposed to be like a found footage film, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But it felt like it was an older movie, so I wasn't sure if it was something that just came out or that people were just starting to talk about and it came out years ago. Because I've seen Joe Keery, I believe, in Stranger Things, and he's gorgeous. But I thought he was younger in this movie the way he looked. So I was really confused, but I never got to watch it.
Yeah, he
So you're
definitely
gonna
looks.
take the lead in this.
Well, so I believe he was a YouTuber, and he had a friend who had like a very big following, and he just kept trying to get his friend to like shout him out so that people would watch on his feed. And then like throughout the whole movie, you're seeing like what he's doing live, and then everyone's comments beneath it. He's talking to his friend who's a streamer, and basically he goes on a killing spree. It has Misha Barton, Ariana Grande's brother, Frankie Grande, isn't that his name?
I didn't even know
In,
she had a brother.
yeah, and then he was on Big Brother, and like years ago. And then there is also Lala Kent was in it, so that was a funny scene. And then it just shows him like kind of like rising to fame at the end, like his first fame. And people are like, "Oh, it's been so long, like we should get together," da da da, stuff like that. So it's just like a YouTuber gone mad. And this is a major huge spoiler, but everything else is, so who cares. But so what he would do in the beginning, like when he was also what was it, an Uber driver or something like that, or a Lyft driver, and this is how he went on his killing spree. And he had like water bottles, and he'd inject them with some sort of poison, and then he'd put super glue on the outside so it didn't leak and no one could tell. Yeah, it was weird.
Whoa.
But that's it. That's it
All
for that.
right. Well, it's definitely a movie that's on my I wish I had watched it list. So I'm definitely gonna watch that. That's like incredibly clever too. That's like how to get away with murder. You take a note type of thing.
Yeah.
But okay. All right. I love Joe Keery, so I definitely want to see him in more things. Also, Stranger Things season 4 coming out next year at some point. So yay. Or
Yeah.
this year. By the time this airs, it'll be this year.
So weird.
Yeah. All right. Oh, okay. The next movie on my list of things that I did get to watch this year is probably my favorite, if not my like tied for favorite movie that I got to watch this year. And that is Underwater with Kristen Stewart. And there are other people in this movie too, but they're people that I've known from other things, but I don't know their names. So Kristen Stewart is the big lead in this movie. And I know she gets a lot of crap because of Twilight. And frankly, I think the reason why Twilight didn't work for her in that role is because she's really good at playing who I think is herself. And the character in Twilight is not her. The lovey-dovey, fallen for, obsessed with the vampire character. That's not her. But in Underwater, it feels very much like her character. There's a sacrifice thing to it, helping others thing to it, very much a hero, not wanting to put herself in harm's way, but she does it anyway type of thing to it. Basically, have you seen this movie?
I started watching it one night and then I fell asleep like 5 minutes in, so I missed out.
I'll try not to spoil anything for you, but
It's okay. I'll forget.
okay. Basically, and it starts off really fast too. So you see the previews and you think there's like a build-up to action. There's no build-up to action. It's just like the scene where she's brushing her teeth in the preview, and then all of a sudden there's a leak in their underwater facility. They're like scientists living underwater. I think they're drilling is what they're doing. And all of a sudden water starts gushing into their underwater facility. That happens in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. And so the entire time it's the people who survived the initial blast of water, which is not that many people, and they're trying to get to different pods in their underwater facility, some through walking on the bottom of the ocean floor, some through uh, like going through underwater tunnels that are connected to, or not underwater tunnels, under the ground, but no water in them tunnels. But there's the water leaking, so there is water there. And then on top of that, it becomes a monster movie because the drilling has unleashed something. I don't want to say what that something is, but I will just say that it's very much connected to the Lovecraft storyline. I know I saw that coming out of nowhere, but I had already heard about that before I watched it, so it wasn't a huge spoiler to me. But the way they go about it and how they introduce the monsters in all the different scenes, you get to see like glimpses of them, and then sometimes you get to see full-on creature effects of them. It's just so intense, and it almost feels nonstop. And then some of the creature things that happen during the movie, or some of the horror things that happen during the movie, aren't even creature related. Like they're just bottom of the ocean related scary things. Your equipment's not working the way it should be, and just that intensity of like it's claustrophobic, like you're in a cave or something, but it's the ocean. So there's the like, what about oxygen element to it? Oh, it got me. It was so fantastic. I haven't rewatched it though. This is a movie that I know I want to watch again and again, but I'm so distracted by so many things. I want to watch it without doing anything. I don't want to be taking notes. I don't want to be eating dinner or anything. Maybe eating dinner, because that's easy. I could do that and watch TV. That's how I gain weight in the first place. You just sit and you eat and you don't pay attention to what you're eating. But that was just a fantastic movie. I highly recommend going back and watching it. It's I bought it. It's available now, I think, on HBO Max, but I bought it before I had even seen it because I started hearing such great things about it, and I was not disappointed. Worth every penny.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch that. I've got like so many to watch, but it's like preparing for this podcast and then the other, and then it's like, how do I fit it all in? So it might take a while, but I'm gonna watch the whole thing. I'm gonna watch it during the day so I don't fall asleep.
Sounds good. Yeah, because it's dark. It's under the water, so it's a really dark movie. So if you're watching it in the dark and you're tired, it's easy to fall asleep.
Yeah.
That happens with me in Prometheus. Well, every time I watch that movie, there's this middle stretch where there's some important stuff going on, but it's not the scary parts. But it's, cinematic and the scenery is great. And I'll start watching it because I'm bored and I'm tired and I want something good to watch. And then I fall asleep. And then I wake up when the scary stuff starts happening. Every time. All right. So what's the next movie on your list?
Peninsula.
I haven't heard of that one.
The sequel to Train to Busan.
That's right. I haven't watched that, but that's right.
It was pretty good. I actually did a podcast episode on Ellis Cinema's podcast, and that's what we discussed. And I think we both agreed that it was kind of like had a Tokyo Drift kind of element to it, Fast and Furious like, as they're like combating these zombies. And it was good. The beginning was really, really sad. Then there are moments where you don't know if certain people are going to make it. The ending was kind of intense. It was great, but I still prefer the original, just the first, because it was just, they're a little bit different. This one had more comedy to it, whereas the other was much more horror aspect.
Okay. Kind of like with the actual Fast and the Furious. Most people prefer the first one to Tokyo Drift, so. All right.
But it's good. I would recommend it.
I haven't even seen the first one yet, and that's another one of those like epic, everyone's talking about it movies where I just don't want to be distracted when I watch it, where I just want to have the first viewing experience. Like, this is what I miss about movie theaters though too. Like, I haven't gone to a lot of movies over the last few years, but I used to go to the movies every week, before just my life personally got crazy. And that's the great thing about going to the movie theater, is that you can't be distracted. You're not supposed to pull out your phone. I never do. I can't understand people who pull out their phones in movie theaters. And hopefully that doesn't make me sound like a grandma, but it's like, put it away. It's a couple hours. It'll go by really, really quick. And then, you get to see the previews for things coming out next, and you get excited about that. And now I miss that viewing experience, but now I have to try to recreate that at home so I'm not distracted and I get everything that's coming out of a movie. Like,
Yeah.
we were talking about Phantasm last week, and you had mentioned something about there was an aunt that was brought up that the kid was going to go stay with when his brother takes off. And I totally missed that because I probably was distracted by something. So, yeah.
I miss lots of stuff. Still,
Okay.
like, I still gotta rewatch Hereditary again. But anyway.
Oh yeah, and they took Hereditary off of Prime like a week after we did our podcast, our first podcast. It's off Prime now.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Lame.
Now I already purchased Midsummer, so that's fine. But Hereditary now you have to pay for if you want to watch.
That sucks.
Yeah, right. Okay, so the next movie on my list, this one is tied with Underwater. And this one is a short movie, and I recommend it to everybody I talk to. It's a Shudder original, and it's Host. Have you seen Host?
No, but it was on my list.
Okay. Highly, highly recommend, definitely. Basically, it's a bunch of people on a Zoom meeting, like us, and they decide to have a seance. So it's very much based in 2020, where these people are separated because of the pandemic and they can't see each other. So this is how they're getting together. And they get a psychic person, a medium, to join them. Apparently one of them sees the medium on a regular basis. So it's kind of like her friend. And she does the seance. And somebody isn't taking it seriously, and they conjure something up that starts wreaking havoc. And you see it happening through the Zoom lens. It's almost like you're in on the Zoom meeting and your friends are the ones that are getting terrorized. It's less than an hour long, which was really shocking because they actually build up to the horror in this movie in the short amount of time that they have. It's like 20 minutes of you seeing them interact, and the characters and the acting is so very well done that you actually have a sense for like who these people are, and people that you could really relate to. There's one guy in this movie, and he is distracted by his girlfriend who wants nothing to do with what's going on in the Zoom meeting. And that hit hard because I've definitely had guy friends who, they get a girlfriend and they get serious with the girlfriend and then they want nothing to do with what you're doing, even if it's something that you used to do with them all the time. So that was highly relatable. And if you're listening, yes, it's probably you. But in that 20 minutes they take to do all that, and then they get to the seance, and it just, the suspense and the thrills, the special effects, and it's almost like a found footage movie, but it's just so well done. There's some things I'm like, I'm not sure how they did it. And then they use some of the features of Zoom, like the fake background stuff, to kind of intensify the horror when it happens. So that it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. I actually made my dad watch part of it with me because I wanted to see him get scared. And the ending has a great jump scare. So be prepared for that.
Well, I like that it's under an hour because that makes it more likely for me to be able to watch it sooner.
Yeah. No, that's why I did too, because I haven't watched, like, we're not halfway through my list, but we're getting close to halfway through my list of things I have watched. And definitely having a shorter runtime made it easier for me to be like, it's 10 o'clock at night. I don't want to go to bed yet. I usually would put on a rerun of something and I don't know, write or plan out my next day. I was able to fit this in, and I was still able to watch reruns of stuff afterwards and plan out my day. So yeah, it was good. It was really good.
That works
So what's
out.
next on your list?
The Lodge. I remember watching it. I just don't. And I thought that I liked it, but I don't really have much memory of it. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, maybe you didn't like it that much. And it was the same with The Turning. Like, I watched them. It was late at night. I already taken my sleeping meds. And I think I actually liked The Turning more than The Lodge. I found The Lodge to be a little bit more predictable. Like I said, there's nothing, I didn't take notes on it. So there's nothing that stands out in my memory. Have you seen either?
No, The Lodge is on my list, and so is The Turning for movies I want to watch. But I almost went to the theaters to see The Turning. Was that before? I think that was before quarantine. So I think that was the plan, or maybe like right before quarantine happened, The Turning came out, and I was gonna go, and somebody told me good luck because they had hated the movie so much, and then I debated, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend movie theater money to go watch this, so I didn't. And it's still on my list though. I like the kid who's in Stranger Things and the It movies, It Chapter 1 and 2. So I want to see him in more things. But then I heard that, the Bly Manor was coming out on Netflix, which I still have not watched either. And I'm like, that's the same story. So I'd rather watch that first and then get to The Turning so that I don't spoil the Netflix show for me. And I know that it's based on an old movie called The Turning of the Screw or The Turn of the Screw, something like that. So it's a rehashed story to begin with, but I also haven't seen that. So it's like, I'm going to put The Turning on the back burner until I get through Bly Manor, and then, I'll revisit that one. And the Lodge I've heard of, but I know nothing about it. So it's on my list. I think I've heard people talking about it, but I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah, I think they're both a little bit overrated. So if you can watch them for free, that'll make it feel a lot better.
Right. All right. Okay. So the next movie on my list, with one of the most controversial movies of 2020 in the horror community, and I consider it a horror, but I think a lot of people consider it more of an action. But I think that the deaths in it and the gore in it definitely puts it in a horror. It's like almost a horror comedy. And I'm talking about The Hunt that came out. It was supposed to come out last year and it got pushed to this year. And I bought it as soon as it was available to buy, because I had heard so much about it, like on both sides. People hated it, people loved it, and I'm like, I'm betting just from watching the previews that I would love this movie. It has this really strong, kick-ass female character. Have you seen this movie?
Yes, I love it.
Right. And I know that, the world is very divided in terms of politics. And I feel like this movie was the perfect representation of the bad sides of both. Like the extreme, you got the overly elite liberal people who are they're plotting their revenge against the horrible right-wing conspiracy theory people. But they're doing like this really awful thing that makes them also look awful. They don't have to do it. They've got money, they've got savings. They don't need to terrorize these people. Yeah, these people most of them are garbage people. And frankly, the world would be better without those people anyway. So when you see them die, you laugh at how they die. You don't really mourn their deaths. And then when you see the elite people get killed off one by one, you don't mourn them either. But then you have this one female character who's retired military, and you can tell that she's got her own little PTSD thing going on whenever she's planning out how she's going to take these people out and survive, and trying to figure out who she can trust. And she doesn't play for either side, and she's also the wrong person the entire time. And it's like, yeah, that's why the left extremists are so bad, because they're not smart enough to do the research. They just made assumptions. And oh god, and the fight scenes, especially the one at the end between her and Hilary Swank, was just so intense and realistic. Like they go through the glass doors and they're just lying there in pain. And then they almost go through the glass doors again and they stop themselves to open the door instead. That made me laugh. I watched this movie like 4 or 5 times. I watched it once and then I made my dad watch it with me. And then I watched it again. And I definitely want to watch this movie again. But it was just so enjoyable. And what sucks is that some people will refuse to see it because they don't get that it's not a commentary on one side or the other. It is literally what the world looks like right now because of people who are so divided. I love that. So if you are listening and you are one of those people who refuse to see this movie, I say go see it because I'm pretty sure it's available on like a lot of streaming services now. So do it. Do it.
Same. Go watch it. Like right now.
Yeah. Listen to us first and then turn off your podcast and go watch it.
Yeah. And it's also a great lesson on be careful who you fuck with because if you choose the wrong person, you're going to get it handed to you. So I really like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, she's like inspirational. Like her training and everything. I want to be that kind of a female who can be that resourceful and that strong. So
Didn't she grow up on a commune or something? I'm trying to remember.
The actual actress or the character?
The character.
I don't know. I know that she went overseas. I can't remember. I think Afghanistan they said she went to, but I don't know about her growing up. They mentioned something about her mom and when she was talking to Hilary Swank's character, but I don't remember a commune being brought up. Of course, now I'm going to rewatch the movie and I'm going to see if I can find that.
I may be wrong.
So what's the next movie on your list?
Swallow. You can watch that on Shudder. Have you seen that one?
I haven't, but I very much want to, but I'm also a little terrified to watch it because I know kind of what it's about. I know the whole swallow aspect of it, and it freaks me out. Like sharp things. I'm a singer, so swallowing sharp things makes me really nervous.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's like, she gets married and she's happy, and her husband just expects her to be like this perfect thing, and his family backs him up on his parents, and so her way of getting through the process is the swallowing of, different random objects that you should not be putting in your mouth or anywhere. And it just kind of shows her struggle throughout it. And at one point they're trying to like get her, I think, institutionalized or committed or like have her do a psychiatric hold or something. But it was really good. I don't remember how it ended now. Shit. I just really hated the husband. He made me so mad because, like, when you've been in relationships where people just like they dumb you down and they speak condescendingly to you, and she had like no voice basically. Like, it just sucked watching her be in that situation. And but it was a good movie. I think like it'll be more receptive. I feel like it's a movie that will be more receptive with the women. I have seen several men say that they liked it, which surprised me because I figured they'd be like, oh, this is boring. But it's really good. And it's free on Shudder. So
Nice. Okay, yeah, I feel like that's probably the prequel to The Invisible Man, where she eventually left her husband and then he went and stalked her. Yeah, I definitely know that feeling, the dumbing down the wife as being just a trophy wife. She's just there because he needed to get married to have a symbol, somebody to follow him forever. So yeah, I like that they turned it into that kind of a horror where she's basically taking out her pain on herself by swallowing stuff. So.
And she's pregnant.
Oh really?
Yes.
Well, see, there you go. Because, well, spoiler alert for The Invisible Man, but she's pregnant in that too. So.
Ooh, well, damn.
Yeah, right? Gotta edit that together, put a trailer out that starts one way and ends the other.
If anyone can do it, it's you.
Yeah, I'll get working on it. All right. Okay. So the next movie on my list, is one that we already talked about on your podcast when I came to visit on your podcast, and that is The Craft Legacy, which is considered a horror, I guess, on some lists, but I didn't. I guess there's a warlock and magical things happening, witchcraft and that, but I felt like the original Craft was much more of a horror than this one. This was much more of a teen drama type of thing, with like an action sequence and a warlock thrown in. But I wouldn't have considered it a horror, but I guess some people do, so I put it on my list.
Yeah. And clearly I've seen it. We did the thing on it.
It was okay. I mean, I think people should watch it because they are talking about making a third movie. And on my video that I did for my Graves Corner, I talked about how I could see it being turned into an entire TV series. There's so many questions left unanswered. They could either go the route of a TV series, or they could do a prequel and a sequel to another sequel. So I don't know. There's a lot. I just don't see them wrapping up the story in one more sequel. So I say watch the second Craft just so we can get more, and maybe they can get it right the next time.
Hopefully it will be a TV series.
That would be cool. I think that'd be cool. All right. So what's next on your list?
The Wretched. We did a podcast on that one for Guts. It was like so there's this family and there's this witch. You don't know she's a witch. Gosh, it's so long since I saw this one. Jeez.
I'm adding it to my list because it's not on my list yet.
It was good. It was really good. So it shows like them trying to figure out who the witch is. At one point, the family had two sons, and like I want to say, if I'm remembering correctly, that the witch did some kind of power, some kind of shit, and so the next, I guess she got the brother, and then the next day the other brother's like talking about his brother, like where is he, what's going on, and his own family doesn't remember having that child. So this really, it's like what? And so then it just kind of has a series of unfortunate events from there. It's good. I liked how they portrayed the witch. She was pretty creepy, but why do I go blank? But yeah,
it almost sounds like a updated version of The Witch that Robert Eggers, is that the guy's name, the director, did for A24.
I think I moved it to my watch stack. Yeah, I don't remember who did it, but you're probably right.
All right. Well, let's see. I've got one more movie that I know came out this year, and then the other two I think came out in 2019, but some are saying came out in 2020. But my next movie on my list is the sequel to The Babysitter Killer Queen on Netflix. Have you seen this?
Nope. I started to, and then I got sidetracked. So I'm adding that back to my list. So
well,
what happened? And you can spoil it because, like I said, I'll forget.
Okay. Well, I'll try not to spoil it too much. I can tell you that throughout the movie, I know there was a controversy when this movie came out because Samara Weaving is the main actress in the first one, and she's fantastic. I got to watch both the first and the second one back to back, both for the first time after the sequel came out, because we were doing a live Twitter event, and these were the two movies that our host, Halloween Year Round, chose. So I got to watch them both for the first time, and one, I love Samara Weaving to begin with because I loved her in Ready or Not, which came out last year. But she's just so dynamic on camera that I feel like she should be in more stuff. And she does actually get to be in the sequel. The controversy was that people said she wasn't going to be in the sequel, and she wasn't in the trailer, but there was like a hint that she might be in the movie towards the end of the trailer that came out. And she is sprinkled throughout the movie in like flashbacks. And then I won't give away the ending, but she's still in the movie. but it's mostly about the other teens that were killed in the first one coming back to try to get the virgin soul. And there's some twists and stuff, and the way that people get killed off are gory and funny at the same time. So it still has a lot of that humor from the first one. I don't think I would say it's better than the first one, but I thought it was really good. I liked the new girl that they introduced into the movie. It was weird to see the little blonde girl from the first one, who also was the younger version of Emily Thorne in the TV show Revenge, being all grown up and like I guess she's a teen. I don't know if she's 18 or older yet, but she's playing a high schooler. But it's so weird that that is the same little girl who had the dog in Revenge, and she's all grown up and being her character in that movie. It's just such a weird transition. But I absolutely recommend it. It's great. I don't know if they could make a sequel for the next, like I don't think they can make a third babysitter from it. But the sequel to the first one, I think it's worthy. It's worthy. And plus the main kid that they're trying to kill, he's fantastic at everything he does in those movies. So I would watch it. It's a fun watch.
I added it to my list.
All right, so what's the next movie that you did get to see?
So I have a few horror shorts. The first one that I'll mention is Covet 2024.
Of course.
That was by Lauren LaPrey of Average Superstar Productions, I believe. And so it's like showing what happens with COVID down the line and how it's like 2024 and stuff still, people are like, there's a part of the world who's not quarantined, and then you've got the people who are, and it shows kind of like everyone's descent into madness through it all. And so I really liked it. I thought it was pretty clever to come up with that idea and to really focus on the craziness of it all and how your mind spirals and you don't even realize it as it's happening. But I loved it.
Also, it's kind of like what happens when the government, I don't know if the government's it feels like the government's going too far, because they're trying to quarantine people in shifts and then get them the vaccine. So there are people who have been quarantined for years waiting for the vaccine, while other people are walking around because they've already gotten the vaccine. And so they're taking too long to get everybody back up and running, and that's where the madness happens, because these are the people who have been quarantined since 2020. So it's 4 years, and it might be, I think they say that it'll be like another year or so before they can get the vaccine at one point. And it's like if the governments of the world don't get organized with what's going on now, then this could be the future. I know the vaccine is being distributed now, but now there's a new strain in the UK that they just started talking about. So who knows? It's very exhausting. I don't want to be in 2024 and have to still quarantine. So hopefully this movie is not the future. But yeah, it was interesting to see.
Yeah, it definitely was.
What's the other horror shorts that you watched? You were in 2024, so we got to mention that. You were actually in that one too.
Yes. I had a little small role, which I was glad to have any role. Like, that was exciting. But I think I could use some work on my acting skills. But anyway,
it's hard to act on Zoom, so. But you did good.
Well, it's supposed to be like a kind of dingy, like good girl. So I don't know. Hopefully I did it all right. But thank you again. The Sleep. That was by, I believe that. Okay, so The Sleep isn't out yet. It was a special screening they chose a few select people on Instagram to watch it. They said I was one of the first, which I thought was like, why are you picking me? But like, wow, like I was so excited that I got to be one of them to see it. It's by Okay, so Jacqueline and Devin Rice, they're married. They wrote it together, and I believe he directed it. And it's like a psychological horror. So there's like, I can't remember the name of the medicine. I wrote it down. but it's in my expanding file. But there's a certain new antidepressant that's on the market now. I shouldn't be spoiling this. It's not out yet. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
So I'm not going to say anymore because they have not released it yet. Oh God. Okay. But
do you know
like
when it's coming out?
it's supposed to be sometime this year. I'm sorry. Sometime, I think she said maybe toward February or March. Now I don't know
Okay.
if it's delayed, but hopefully it doesn't. But I've really liked it. I thought it was a great twist. I thought it was a great concept that they had going. So, but when it comes out, you definitely gotta try it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've gotten that on my list now. Any other shorts?
Tales of a Scorpio Stinger. That's by Jason Elliott. It is. You can also find it on YouTube. And so basically, there is this like an animal activist, and she's a Scorpio. And did I say a Scorpio stinger or scorpions? Because it's Scorpio
I
stinger.
thought you said it's scorpions.
It's Scorpio.
It's Scorpio because you said Scorpio, so I wasn't sure if that was right or not.
Yeah. Okay, good. Just making sure. So she like goes and like gets revenge on these people who do bad things to animals, who have like tortured and killed them and put it online. And she gets her revenge. The writer and director, Jason's in it. And then the lead actress, she did, oh, I don't remember what the movie was, but she did a movie with Keanu. So she's got some stuff under her belt. But it was a nice little movie. I liked it. Want to have him on Heather Loves Horror.
Wait, hold on. I want to see who this actress is. Do you know what she did with Keanu?
I don't remember. If you look up Tales, like Tales, like story tales of a Scorpio singer on IMDb, it'll show you. I think maybe she does like her own stunts too. Like she's like a really strong female. She seems like,
Evelyn Osorio as Kiara.
I
John.
believe.
Oh, she was in one of the John Wick movies. She did stunts.
That's
Oh,
right. It
she's
was
a
the John.
stunt girl.
Yeah. So she's like pretty fucking badass.
Nice. All right. How many more shorts do you have on your list?
That's the last short. I don't
Okay.
have much left.
All right, then I'm gonna get to. Well, okay, so I have two more left on my list, but I know one of them came out in 2019, but it came out on Shudder in 2020, and it came out in the Philippines in 2020. But it still doesn't technically count. But that's The Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage, and I just want to mention it because it's a fantastic movie. It's so crazy, and the lead actress in it, not the mom, but the daughter. You start out seeing her doing like Wicca stuff at this little lake by their house, and I related to her so much, except that she got to have her own little white horse, and I always wanted a pony and I never got one, so I loved her character. And there's a llama farm, and Nicolas Cage is just insane. So I know that technically counts as a 2019 movie. I saw it in 2020, so that's one of the movies I got to see this year. But what I think actually came out this year, that I did see this year as well, and is a Shudder, I believe it's a Shudder exclusive, if not a Shudder original, is Random Acts of Violence. And this movie, have you seen this movie? Okay, this movie I only watched because I was doing another live Twitter event with Halloween Year Round, and this was one of the movies he put on his list. And I liked it, but I don't know if there's any, like, it didn't excite me as much as it could have. It's not that memorable compared to the other movies that are on my list, but it's not bad. And it's pretty interesting, the concept. It's about this guy who draws a comic book, and his lead character in the comic book slaughters people. And see, there's some things I can't remember because I know there are flashbacks to when he was a child that are important too in this movie. But he's growing up, and he's grown up, and I think he's trying to finish his comic book. Like, he's already had editions of the comic book come out, and he's trying to finish the story with the next comic book. And somebody is killing people in the way his lead Slaughter character is killing people in the comic book, and he's being stalked at the same time. And somehow this guy is connected to something that happened to him and his family when he was a kid. I cannot remember how that is. I have to rewatch it to remember it. It's an interesting concept. It's a decent movie. I don't think it's that long either. I want to say it's around the hour and a half mark. And it's got a lot of like comic book color, kind of like Creepshow does too. The deaths are pretty interesting and gory. So if you like gore, this is a good movie for you. I wouldn't put it at the top of my list of movies I've watched, but it's definitely interesting. So I would check that out. And that is the end of all the ones I have watched this year.
Okay.
So what do you got?
Let's see. The Pale Door. That is, to me, that's like a horror western meets the occult, and it's Coven of Witches.
Oh,
It's pretty. I was like, I kept going back and forth on whether I wanted to watch it or not, and I'm glad I did. And if I'm not mistaken, the lead character is Dave. I think that's his name from Happy Endings. So I was like, oh, my baby. I was like so glad. And I think that's him. I wasn't wearing my glasses. I could be wrong, but it was really good. You have so like it starts off with these two boys, a younger boy and then like maybe close to teenage, if not teenage, and it's thundering and the younger boy's asleep in bed, and you see him like tossing and turning and like trying to cover his face, and then his brother who shares a room with him, different bed, wakes up and he goes over to comfort him, and he's like, I'll always be by your side. And then they hear something, he's like, quiet, and then their father runs into the room and he hands the older brother Duncan he hands him a weapon and tells him, remember what I told you, and don't be afraid to shoot, or something like that. So then they're like trying to get out of the house without the bad guys seeing them, as the father is going out to confront them. And then, long story short, they end up seeing both their mother and father had been murdered. And then it shows years later, the younger brother Jacob's working in a bar as like a barmaid or a barkeeper, and he bumps into some guy, and the guy, while he's cleaning, and the guy's like being a dick. And so the bartender points at the wanted sign for the brother Duncan, who's now like this like wanted cowboy. And then brother comes in and like tells that dude whatever, and then they know not to fuck with him. And then it shows them talking about how like the guys in Duncan's gang are like badass, and that their wanted level is going to be wanted and up more. And then so they're like, then they have this character who's a member of the gang, and he goes in a duel and he gets shot and dies. So they're down one for a mission. The younger brother wants to help. They don't really want him to do it because they don't want to be connected to that kind of life. And then he does it anyway. And along the way, they're going to like board this train and like take out some bad guys or something. And they see a chest that's locked but moving, and it has someone in it. So they take her out, and she's like bound and gagged. And then she's like, they're wanting to keep her in there. The brothers are like, no. Then they go bring her to her village, and that's when all the witchy stuff starts happening, and it just gets crazy from there. And I wasn't really a fan of how it ended, but I won't say it all because I don't want to give it away. But I just felt like one of the guys did something that he could have done in the very beginning to have prevented all of it from happening, and he just gives up in the end. And it's like, why didn't you just do it in the beginning? But that's
wow.
But it was pretty good. And then had the hunt. Let's see, Fantasy Island. I don't know if you'd really count that because I watched like 15 minutes and I was like, I don't know if my mood or if I was being influenced by everyone else saying that it was garbage. I didn't finish it. And then I'm a big Kevin Bacon fan, so You Should Have Left. I stumbled across that at Second and Charles for like $2 or $3, and I was like, oh, I'm getting that. And I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't Bacon's finest. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I loved Amanda Seyfried in it, but it's worth a watch if you're a Bacon fan.
Yeah, and one of the we'll be talking about Kevin Bacon in horror too in the future, so look forward to that. I haven't watched that one yet, but it is on my list because it's by the same director that did Stir of Echoes, or same writer or something, and I love Stir of Echoes. So, but it does seem like a weird thing to have Kevin Bacon be married to Amanda Seyfried, because there's just such a huge age difference there. Like, I like older guys. I feel like that's a bigger gap than I've ever liked, but I don't know. I don't really know Kevin Bacon's age. I just know he's old. So
and kudos to you for coming up with that. When I saw that on the podcast schedule, I was like, oh my goodness, you're so perfect. I like went and told my oldest son about it. I'm like, I was just so excited.
Yeah, well, because that movie came out this year, and the You Should Have Left, and I know that he doesn't like talking about Friday the 13th, and I have some background information on that for that podcast. And he never was in, as far as I can tell, he never was in any of the Tremors sequels. So I thought that, he didn't want to do horror. And then all of a sudden he's in Stir of Echoes. He's in this new movie. I feel like there was one or two other ones. I know he was a bad guy in one of the X-Men movies. So.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's the one with January Jones in it. Oh man, that was one of my favorite ones.
That was a great one. That was one I bought on Blu-ray before I had even watched it, because I knew I was going to want to watch this movie. So
good. The Darkness, I think, was another one that he was in. That's like a horror-ish kind of thing, almost Exorcist style, but yeah, it was all right.
So, anything else on your list?
That's all that I have seen that I can recall.
Okay. I'm going to run down it, because my other part of my list is movies that I have not seen yet that came out in 2020. And the reason why I just want to read this list off is because these are movies that, if you are a horror fan and you feel like there's a lack in the horror genre right now, there is not. There are a lot of movies on here that I have been really dying to see that I just haven't had time to sit down. And like we were talking about, when you watch a new movie for the first time, you want to make sure you're not distracted. You want to make sure you take in the whole thing and you get every single detail so that you could be like in on the in jokes that they might be making or that other people might be talking about. So here are the movies that we haven't mentioned yet so far. Vampires versus the Bronx, which I think is a Netflix original. Scare Me, which is a Shudder movie. Bad Hair, which is a commentary on Black people and their hair and weaves and such. I heard that one was pretty good. The Guts podcast guys were talking about Uncle Peckerhead, and I saw some footage from it, and that looks interesting. You already mentioned Spree. Oh, Scare Package. That one I might be watching first on my want list, because that's like an anthology movie with VHS tapes or a video store. And that looks great. That's another Shudder movie. VFW, which I know nothing about, but I know that Stephen Lang is like one of the lead characters in it. And he was the bad guy in Avatar and the bad guy in Don't Breathe. And I love him. When I talk about older guys that I have a thing for, he's probably the oldest. The guys I have a thing for, because he's just so beautiful. The Beach House, which has to do with some sort of weird stuff washing up on the shore of somebody's beach house. And it looks like it could be Lovecraftian in its connections. Revenge, I'm on and off about whether or not I want to watch it, because if you've seen I Spit on Your Grave, I don't know if you need to watch Revenge, because I feel like it's just the same thing, except instead of being the backwoods, it's somebody's fancy house on a cliff. Freaky came out this year, not too long ago, with Vince Vaughn. And it's a Blumhouse movie that did Happy Death Day to You. It has that same Happy Death Day vibe, where a serial killer switches bodies with a young girl. And in the young girl body, the serial killer starts killing off like her friends and the people she goes to school with. And Vince Vaughn is trying to convince all the young people that are her friends that she is now in his body. So it looks funny. I think it's a PG-13 horror type of thing. So you have to be, well, they have to have a clever story in order to get away with not having the gore and stuff that a lot of horror movies do. But if it's by the same people who did Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day 2, I would watch Freaky because I loved those two movies. I thought they were very clever. The New Mutants I have on here just because they advertised it as one of the first horror movies in the X-Men universe. And I heard it was not good, but I still want to watch it because I like the X-Men universe. So I'll eventually watch that. We'll be talking about this next movie in a future podcast too, and that is The Witches that came out on HBO Max exclusively. I've never seen the original with Angelica Houston, and I know I should have, I just haven't, but we'll be doing a comparison between the new Witches and the original The Witches, and that'll give me a reason to watch both of those. So, yeah. The Dark and the Wicked. Some people on Instagram have been talking about this movie, and that just came out a few weeks ago too. So I have no idea what that's about, but the title alone sounds good. I feel like it might have something to do with witches as well, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Antebellum is, I think it's produced but not directed by Jordan Peele. But Jordan Peele, who did Get Out and Us, and then this was kind of like the next movie in that line of the genre, but a different director. I heard mixed things about Antebellum, so I don't know what to expect, if I'm going to like it or not, but I loved Get Out. I haven't watched Us yet, and that's one where I don't want to be distracted because I know it's got Elizabeth Moss in it too, and just the cast. Lupita is in it, and I can never remember his name, but the husband, who is also in Black Panther, is in it, and he's also a beautiful man. And I want to watch that without being distracted, and then move on to Antebellum. You talked about Fantasy Island. Come Play is a movie that came out not too long ago, and that's like another creature features or evil spirit movie. I have no idea what it's about, but I want to watch. Gretel and Hansel. Like one of my friends was just talking to me about this movie too, and I realized that came out this year and I hadn't watched it yet. One of the kids from it plays Gretel in it, so that's one. I also got mixed reviews on it, but people seem to like it more than they hate it, so I want to watch that. There's Relic, which I've heard was not great, but I still kind of want to check it out. But I liked the original Relic, which was a monster movie, and I have it on VHS behind me somewhere. The Spell, or maybe it's just called Spell with no the. That is a newer movie that came out around Halloween, and I believe it's a witch movie. Have not watched that yet. I think this is a Shudder original as well. I might be wrong about that, but it definitely did come out around Halloween this year. There's The Grudge remake. I'm hearing mixed things about that movie too, so I don't know if that's worth checking out, but I feel like I should watch it anyways, just to say I did. So we'll see. We talked about You Should Have Left. Becky. Becky is a movie. I gave away a digital copy of Becky a month ago, but I have not watched it myself yet. But I like Lulu Wilson and I like Kevin James, so that's another movie I want to watch. Brahms the Boy 2, and I just rewatched The Boy 1, which I love that movie. I don't want to spoil, like, I know we're spoiling a lot of things, but in the Brahms the Boy, they make it seem like it's supernatural when it's not, and that's all I'll say about that. And I guess the sequel is that it actually is all supernatural, and I kind of want to see how they do that, because if you know The Boy 1, it's really not. So I don't, like, is it a different doll, or when the doll broke in the first one and they put it back together for the second one, did a spirit hop into it? It's a little confusing, but also it makes me want to watch it because I want to see how they do it. Castle Freak came out a couple of weeks ago. or a week ago, maybe. And you know what? I've never seen the original Castle Freak. So I feel like I need to see that one first before watching this one that just came out. But it's supposed to be connected to a Lovecraft story too, which I didn't know that until the remake came out. So now it makes me want to watch that because I know Lovecraft is a very controversial writer and a huge racist and everything. I'll probably never sit down and read his books, but the movies are so grandiose when they make them that I want to watch them. Like In the Mouth of Madness by John Carpenter, a great movie based on Lovecraft stuff. So we're almost at the end of the list. Come to Daddy, which is an Elijah Wood movie where he goes to see his dad who he hasn't seen for years. And I think, I haven't watched this and I've only seen the previews, but from the previews, I think it's not really his dad. So I want to watch that and see what happens. We talked about Swallow. There's Impetigore, which is on Shudder, and that I think is a foreign movie. And I have no idea what it's about. But when it came out, people were really interested and shocked about what was going on in it. I saw one scene with a person getting their throat sliced, so there is a nice gore element to it. So that's on my list, along with the foreign movies. There's La Llorona, which is not the Curse of La Llorona that came out in the Conjuring universe, but a different movie where it is the same ghost, spirit, demon thing, but you're also following, I think it's an old man and his history with like it's like the Mexican Revolution or something, some sort of war that was going on in his country, that relates to how he got cursed, I think. People said that they like this better than the La Llorona that came out in the Conjuring universe. So I haven't seen that one either. So maybe I'll do a compare and contrast at some point. His House, which I think just came out too. Like Shudder seems to, I think that's a Shudder one. They seem to release a lot of movies a week after week. I'm not sure what that's about, but it sounds good from what people are saying. There's Spiral that came out a month or two ago, and not the Spiral that's coming out in 2021 with Chris Rock that was supposed to come out this year, which is the Saw universe movie. But Spiral has something to do with a couple that moves into a house. I think it's a gay couple that moves into a house, and there's some sort of cult magic thing where I think they sacrifice the people who live in this house. From what I think I've seen in the previews, people have said that they really like this movie too. They were surprised by it. And then the final one is The Wretched, which you just talked about. So that is the end of my list. Are there any that you wanted to see that we haven't talked about yet?
That we haven't talked about. Let me see. Possessor. I have it. I've gone to watch it a couple of times, but something always happens. And I want to give it my full attention because it looks like a movie. You can't miss anything. I've heard wonderful things about it. Alone, which is on Prime Video. Antrim, that's on Tubi. Black Box, that's on Prime. The Owners, which is on Prime. Let's see. I kind of want to watch The Curse of Audrey Earnshaw. That's also on Prime. Synchronic. How do you say it? That was one of the previews that I saw on Possessor. I've watched the previews. I just haven't watched the show yet. But I've sat down to it, just hadn't happened. But that one looks really, really, really good. They say it's on Prime. And I don't know how to say this, but Coco di Coca Da. It's a foreign film, I believe. That's on Prime. Sea Fever from Hulu. #Alive from Netflix. That's like a foreign take on the zombie stuff. Looks really, really. Blood Quantum, which can be found on Shudder. Nocturne, they say that's on Prime. The Ghost of War, I really, 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 really want to see. That's a Netflix one. Now this one looks a little like it could be ridiculous, but I still want to watch it. It's called Baby Yaga, Terror of the Dark Forest. I believe that's on also 12-hour shift prom video. Cali Cooey. Cali Cooey. I don't know how to say that, but it's Netflix. It's another foreign. Cadaver from Netflix. Bliss on Shudder. I don't know if that was 2019 or 2020, but I still haven't seen it. Followed looked really good. That's supposed to be on Prime. Blackwater Abyss. That's supposed to be on Prime. That one looks really good. The Special from Prime. Metamorphosis, which is on Shudder. I want to see Promising Young Women, which just came out in theater.
That's right. Yes.
Gonna have Jennifer Lee Connelly in it. I think it's got a couple people in there. The Other Lamb, which is on Hulu. And then let's see. I also wanted to watch Host, plural. I didn't write down where that one's from. Wait. Oh well, anyway, whatever. And then that's it that we haven't already mentioned. I've got more that are on my list that I want to see, but those are like the main ones.
Hosts. Okay, Hosts is a family fall victim to a series of violent murders when they invite their neighbors over for Christmas dinner. That just came out too. That looks interesting. Neil Ward, who I think I've seen in stuff before. He looks really familiar. What have I seen Neil Ward in? Thank you, IMDb. And he looks super familiar, but I don't think I've actually seen him in stuff. I think he's just one of those faces, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, if you are looking for stuff, like if you've been thirsty for horror movies, and 2020 has been kind of sucky in terms of actually going to the theaters, but you can find literally, I've got like pages upon pages of things I haven't even watched yet that I could be watching. So now, hopefully, listeners and viewers, you can too.
Hopefully. We've definitely helped give them some titles to go from.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned Ghosts of War on your list of movies to watch, because I actually, one of my brothers actually texted me just a week ago that he was watching it, and I had never heard it before. But he's like, yeah, you should watch this. He really seemed to love it. I think he was a little disappointed in the ending. I think I feel like people just don't know how to end movies anymore. It's rare that you have a satisfying ending, and I don't know why that is. Maybe that's mostly a horror movie thing, but horror shows and television shows, people don't know how to end things. They just know how to shock people, but they don't know how to end.
Okay, so upcoming interviews are Jen, Scary Godmother, Lucas from Lego Horror Videos, Old Man Ghostface, which is going down today, author Charles Campbell and his special effects girl. She's called Jukebox Baby. I don't remember the full name, but she's also on Instagram. Elizabeth Suggs, she's an author on Instagram. She's something else. She's inspirational. She's got I believe an editing and publishing company. She's an author. They have a podcast. She's got a lot going on, and she seems to be pretty young to have achieved so much. So I'm kind of excited about that. Oh, Pillar of Thriller. And then Lauren Lepre, hopefully soon, of Covet 2024, and then The Dark Military. I'm hopefully going to get Jacqueline Rice or her and her husband Devin for the Sleep movie. And then I already have Tales of a Scorpio Stinger set up to interview with Jason Elliott. And I can't remember anymore. It's all on my calendar.
That's a lot. I was going to say that for me right now, I am behind in getting Cat Coven out, which was supposed to come out last week, but with the holidays being what they were and family coming and going, it's just been hard to actually sit down and film the things I need to film. But that is supposed to be happening today, the filming part. So then the editing, and then I'll come out with that this week. I might be doing 2 videos this week because I need to put out my blooper video that I've been working on. And so I'll probably do either Cat Coven at the end of this week, like on Saturday or Sunday, and then the blooper video will be the one that comes out this Thursday, but I might switch those. But this week should be a 2-for video on my YouTube channel. And then I'm doing the next Terror Tuesdays, which will be out before this comes out. And because that's Tuesday. And that is going to be the final Black Christmas. So if you haven't seen it yet and you're listening to this, go on my Instagram page and look for my IGTV, and you'll see me talking about the final remake of Black Christmas, which is going to be a special self-care edition of Terror Tuesdays, because I will be watching this movie in my bathtub while I take a bubble bath. So I used to do this on my story, but I haven't done it for a while, and I was out of bubble bath for a while. But I just got a huge supply from Amazon. So I'm going to be doing a self-care welcome to the new year, or bye-bye old year, bye-bye holiday craziness edition of Terror Tuesdays. So no, I will not be showing any nudity, but you'll probably see my feet. So if you're into feet, my feet are not great, but if you're into feet, they'll probably be there. That's about it for now. Oh, and also, my Pillar of Thriller, I did my announcement for them last week. So if you haven't seen that, go find Pillar of Thriller's Instagram page and go see the video I did for them. And the video you did for them.
Awesome. Your video is way better than mine. Mine was just like, I tried. But yours was really fun.
Oh, and thank you.
You're welcome. He's a crafty one, did a good one. Oh, and Jen.
Hers was so cute. Like, I need a partner in crime to be in my videos. Like, even he's crafty. When he does his his Christmas special, he had his wife in it, and she was like the swole babe, and he was he got fat, but he's usually Chip Gaines about gaining muscle. But they're so cute. I need a partner like that. Sometimes I get my dad to be in stuff, but it's usually just me. Or you. Now it's you. You're my partner in crime in Texas.
Thank goodness.
Well, I guess that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember to tune in. We're going to be putting these out every Friday, sometimes late Friday into Saturday, but we're going for Fridays. So look out. Follow us on Instagram at May Queens Pod. That's May Queens POD pod, because that's the longest I could do for Twitter. But that is that way on Twitter and Instagram. And just find us May Queens on YouTube. So that is it. Oh, and if you are watching this on YouTube, I have no idea what my lipstick looks like right now after drinking water, but that's an extra video bonus to see if this lipstick actually stayed on my face for my Freddy Krueger outfit. So go check that out.
It held up. It looks good.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, you take care. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye, girl.
Bye.
Take care.